So I live at my parents' house, and I just found out my sister doesn't pay any rent, but I do. Alright, this is exactly what I told my parents. You guys won't believe this. I graduated from college 4 years ago, and live at home with my parents. My sister graduated 2 years ago and also lives with my parents. We both got jobs pretty much straight out of college. I pay my parents $800 a month in rent since my first paycheck. This is a throwaway and it's still fresh. I'm really emotionally charged right now. Last night, my parents were talking loudly about their financial problems in the living room. I overheard and offered to help pay more in rent. I was thinking about $1,000 since it covers utilities, phone, and internet. My parents were grateful. Now, prior to this, I never asked how much sister pays in rent. I always figured my parents charged us the same. So, absent-mindedly, I asked the follow-up question. This is how it went. How much is my sister paying for rent? My mom says, nothing. So we do a long pause. Well, what do you mean she doesn't pay rent? My dad, visibly angry, says, your sister doesn't pay a ducking thing. My dad explained how my sister recently bought a brand new car and has not paid insurance on it, so my dad had to pay for it. She doesn't pay rent. She doesn't pay utilities, phone, anything. So, for the past 2 years, she's been living rent-free while I've been paying my parents. So, later that night, we had a family sit-down talk. My sister did not want to pay rent, especially at how much I was paying. She offered $100. My parents said they meet in the middle and suggested she pays $300. I pay $800, which my sister and I both rejected. The conversation ended like this. Sister says, duck you, I'm trying to live my life. These were her exact words, which made me mad. So my sister storms off to her room and it's now me, my parents in the living room. I'm extremely upset at this because it's massively unfair. My mom's upset that everyone's angry at each other and my dad's angry that my sister won't pay rent and she won't move out and both my parents don't have police involved. So I say my part before leaving. I'm not going to pay any more rent until she does, and if I do pay rent, I pay whatever she's paying. Then my mom says, what if she pays $300? You pay $800. No, but we really need the money. Well, that's too bad. I get up and go off to my room, so this morning, my dad comes in and tells me that I'm an a-hole for not paying rent. That I should pay rent because it's the right thing to do and all this crap. I'm like, what the hell? Make my sister pay. My mom, who's listening, says, you've seen her, she won't listen. Well, that's too bad. Then my mom says in a really angry voice, well, we wouldn't have this problem if you didn't try to make your sister pay. That was the last straw that blew it for me. I slammed the door shut on my parents. As I'm saying this now, my parents are in the living room discussing how both their children are rotten and was better back in the home country back in their day when kids listened to their parents. Yeah. So it seems almost everyone's saying not the a-hole. Here's the number one comment. Not the a-hole, you paid about $20,000 in rent while your sisters paid nothing? Oh, heck no. Your parents are being ridiculous and your sister is a user. How financially difficult would it be for you to leave? I would not want to stay with them if it was me. So guys, that's a good point. Let me know your thoughts on this story. Drop them down below. Let me know in your opinion, is it unfair the rent difference that OP's paying compared to the sister? I would love to hear your opinions on that, but we're going to look at story number 2 now. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece why I kept distance from her and her parents growing up? Guys, this story's a wild one. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please click that subscribe button, and here comes story number 2. I'm 42 and male, and have a niece named Lily who's 18. Lily is the result of an affair my ex-fiancé had with my brother while we were still together. I was led to believe Lily was mine throughout the entire pregnancy, almost signing her birth certificate, before my ex confessed out of guilt that Lily was probably my brother's. We did a DNA test and Lily wasn't mine. During my teenage years, I got into an accident which left me infertile. The doctor said my chances of fathering a child were slim to non-existent, so you can imagine how crushed I felt when I discovered that not only am I not going to be a father, but I was also betrayed by the two people I love. It's been years since, and I did well for myself. I'm the first in my family to attend university, and I landed a high-paying job right after school. I own my own business, invest in properties, and since I'm both single and childless, I can spend my income however I please. My ex ended up marrying my brother. I'm somewhat cordial towards them, but I can't bring myself to fully forgive them for what they did. And although I know Lily's blameless whenever I see her, I'm constantly reminded of how I was once overjoyed, holding her in the hospital, thinking she was mine. So I can't bear to look at her for too long. I did not visit her growing up. I did not take her on fun trips or give her lavish gifts like the rest of my nephews and nieces got. I wasn't mean or hateful to her, but I'll admit, I kept my distance. When my oldest nephew turned 18, I decided I'll pay for his college education, since I could afford it, while his parents could not. I even rented him one of my apartments for so cheap, so he would not have to worry about money and could focus on getting his education. Since then, I did the same thing for my two other nieces. Last week, Lily approached me during a family event and inquired if I could pay for her education. I told her no. She then called me a jerk and asked why I was so distant towards her and her parents, to the point where I could not even do her the same favor I did for the rest of her cousins. I told her that her parents have enough money to afford her education, and asked her how she could possibly expect me to be okay watching my ex and brother, who had an affair behind my back, play happy little family in front of me. After that, Lily got quiet for the rest of the event and left early. I later got a call from my ex, yelling at me for ruining her family. Apparently, she and my brother did not bother telling Lily about what they did to me all those years ago. And now she knows she's so angry at them that she decided to go live with her boyfriend's family. I'm starting to feel guilty that I told her the truth, since it affected her more than I thought it would. But at the same time, she's grown enough to know the truth, and I don't think I could have lied to her face, even if I wanted to. Am I the a-hole? Quick update. For those asking why it's so hard for me to look at Lily all those years, here's a couple of reasons. Number one, my ex and I began dating when we were 13 and broke up when we were 24. So, over a decade. She knew about my infertility issues and how much I wanted to be a dad, and still led me on to believe the baby was mine. Number two, I named Lily. I named her when she was born, since I always liked the name and wanted to name my daughter that. My ex never changed her name after it was discovered she's not mine. Number three, my brother and I look alike. Lily looks like my brother as a result, so she also looks quite like me. If my ex did not tell me back then I wasn't her father, I wouldn't have suspected a thing. Number four, having to witness a child that looks like me, has the name I chose, and was being raised by the woman I loved, all the while being infertile, really made it impossible for me to be active in Lily's life. Not out of resentment to her, but for the sake of my mental health. I decided to listen to some of your advice and text Lily. I asked her if she would like to meet up and have a conversation about all that went on since, like you said, she does deserve some answers. She hasn't replied yet. If she will, I'll update. Alright guys, Mr. Reddito here, so that update definitely came through. Let's go ahead and look at the update now. If you're new to the channel, please click that subscribe button as it deeply helps support the channel. I've met with Lily yesterday. I told her about my relationship with her mother, how and when it started, went into great detail about the accident I went through, the cheating, her birth. I got over everything she asked me about. In turn, she told me everything her parents told her about me growing up. Apparently, she was told that around the time she was born, I had a miracle baby named Lily that died at the hospital, and since she and her shared the name, I held some sort of resentment towards her. Yeah, I'm still processing what she just told me. I feel like it's such a twisted retelling of what actually happened that it's considered insulting. Needless to say, there was a lot of crying involved, apologies from both ends. Lily said she's doing better now that she knows the truth, and that her boyfriend and his family have been an amazing support to her throughout all this. My family decided to officially cut off any contact from my ex and brother. Now that Lily's an adult, there's no need to also invite them along when they can just see her. For those asking me if I go to therapy, yes, I do. My therapist was one who suggested I distance myself from Lily and her parents all those years ago. Honestly, it did wonders for my mental health, so I can't say I regret the decision. I was suicidal back then, and I don't think regular contact with them would have possibly done me any good. I decided I'll try my best to be more involved in Lily's life now, that I don't have to interact with her parents in order to meet up with her. Lily agreed and said she always wanted to get to know me better. Overall, this whole incident opened up a lot of old wounds, but I'm glad it happened. It needed to happen. All I can say is that I hope that both Lily and I will heal from all this and move on with our lives. So a lot of people are saying not the a-hole for this situation, but they are saying OP's definitely the a-hole for the way that he treated Lily. I agree with that. Lily did not deserve any of this. There was a lot of resentment. Here's one of the comments. You are the a-hole to your niece. She did not deserve this, and your post specifically asked if you were the a-hole to her. You could have handled this better. I do agree with you, though. You were not the a-hole to your ex-bro. They should have handled this before it got to you, but part of me thinks you knew that they hadn't told her. Glad to see you're updated and trying to talk to her and make amends. Sounds like your heart's in the right place. Good luck to you. Alright guys, so this story was pretty intense. Let me know your thoughts on it. And our final story of the day is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my brother he got exactly what he deserved when he pushed his girlfriend away for being a gold digger? My brother is a very hardworking man. At age 27, he's now very wealthy and doing well for himself. He's been with this girl for 6 months, and throughout the time we've gotten close, because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. I never knew there was anything wrong with their relationship, except when she texted me last week saying she would love to hang out, but thinks it'll be inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. I asked her why, and she said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove she was with him for the right reasons. She went on to say that my brother's paranoid she's after his money, so he would test her, doing things like leaving out his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up. Number 2, going out to eat at high-end restaurants. He requested and leaving his wallet at home on purpose to make her pay the bill and prove she's not going out for his money. Number 3, never buying her gifts and questioning her when she asked why he doesn't. I was shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. We spoke and he told me everything she said was true and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend's with him for the right reasons. He said he left his bank statements on the bed and was peeking through the door to see if she would be curious. And when he saw her pick up the papers, he knew in his gut she was using him. So he set up the restaurant idea to see if she would get upset at paying $500, which she was. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at a restaurant, and he's the one that wanted to go to. And he said no. He said that the straw that broke the camel was when she asked him why he hasn't bought her a single gift since they've started dating, when she bought him a gaming console, new rims for his car, and knew she was just discreetly asking him to buy her an expensive gift. He confronted her and said he thinks that she's with him for his money, so she let me do us both the favor, and dumped him and blocked him. He's upset about the quote, gold digging beep, and when I laughed, he called me an a-hole. He said I would never understand what it's like to be a rich man and being used, and I got that concerned. But I told him if he thinks any woman will be okay with his test and audition, he's delusional as heck. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him, or leave lower income people alone if he's not going to be genuine in his relationship, unless they, quote, pass his test. I just want to say it's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion, how this guy treated his girl. OP's brother sounds like a huge, vile jerk. Let's go ahead and read a couple comments, and OP responded to this one. The comment says, "Not the a-hole. Sounds like you told your brother the truth. He sounds immature, and testing a partner never turns out well." This is when OP saw that and replied by saying this. He said it's impossible to find a woman as wealthy as him, so he's forced to date middle and lower class women, so he's still going to continue his testing. I told him he should go to therapy. He says I'm the crazy one. Alright guys, yeah, I have to say that brother sounds pretty toxic for the way he's treating people, but let me know your thoughts on this story. Drop them in the comment section. As always, you know I love reading the comments. That's all the stories I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.